Hey everybody, welcome to the Pick Army Recap Show, Week 15. I'm John, that's Erik. The Army had a pretty good week this week. We went 2-0-2. Let's dive in and take a look. Buffalo minus 6 points at Denver. The Army liked Buffalo. I agreed with this pick. Erik, what did you think, man?
I disagreed with this pick. This one was the classic pros versus Joes, but this is the one where the Joes actually got the upper hand. A lot of novice bettors, the $10, $20, $50, even $200 per ticket group was heavily and squarely on Buffalo, the road favorite, while a lot of professionals took Denver +6. This was a lean, not a like. It wasn't my official picks, but I would have gone Denver in this game. I just like the home field advantage, the altitude, but I underestimated Buffalo, man. They are not just a legit contender and going to be a tough out in the playoffs. They're a legit contender for a Super Bowl this year. They're, I think, one team that actually could give Kansas City a real run for it. So I underestimated, I think, how good Buffalo is. They're going to be really overvalued now, so we'll see how they do down the stretch as far as the spread goes. But I was wrong, and you and the Army were right, John. Well done on the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, this team, like I said, is real. They gave Pittsburgh all types of fits. I think they're going to give Kansas City all types of fits. The playoff picture for the AFC looks really cool, and I'm very excited to see what happens.
The playoffs this year are going to be they're going to be sensational. They really are. I will say, actually, after that Buffalo performance, and then one of the games we're going to get into here shortly, I think the AFC right now is the clear favorite to win the Super Bowl, whoever makes it there. I think some of these top AFC teams are just unbelievable. But anyway, again, tip of the hat to the Army. They nailed that. Went 1-0 there before even Saturday night had come. So pretty good stuff.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Green Bay -8 hosting Carolina. The Army liked Green Bay in this one. I also agreed with this. Erik, what do you think, man?
Yeah, big agreement. This was my actually best bet of the week, and it was a push. Green Bay won by exactly 8 points. A couple really interesting things with this game. Number one, you'll hear me say this often, the pros bet numbers, not teams. -8 was the most advantageous number that was offered for Green Bay the entire week, considering we got a little lucky, but also it was strategic that it was -8 when our voting closed. So the Army got Green Bay -8. Anything above that, which is it opened -8.5 before kickoff, it was up to -9, and even on some books -9.5. So the only play on Green Bay that would push, that didn't lose, was the -8, which we got. So we got a little bit lucky. But again, it's so important to bet numbers, not teams. It's interesting, as more NFL teams become more aggressive with 2-point conversions and going for it on fourth down, that number 8 has shown up a lot more than it has in the past. And so it's all the more reason we talk all the time about being very concerned about +3 as opposed to +3.5, or +7 as opposed to +7.5. 8 is getting in there now where you do need to be much more mindful of 8.5 than 8. So we got lucky with the push there, but a push all around. I'm pretty sure you agreed with this pick as well too, right, John?
Oh, I did. I absolutely agreed with it. And the funny thing is Aaron Rodgers' aerial attack was not really the focal point here. It was the rushing game. And just watching these games, teams that can rush the ball and run the ball and can hold up against defenses and wear defenses down that way are going to win. This was a definitive win for Green Bay. I think even though it was against the weak Carolina team, they showed that they could play both the ground and pound and the aerial assault game. And if they can pull that off in the playoffs, you're talking about a very tough team that's going to be hosting at least one game in Lambeau. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, they're probably going to be hosting 2 games, especially if the playoffs started now. So I'm going to agree with you on one point, but disagree on the other. Number one, how important the running game is. Football in January is very different than football in September. A lot of the aerial attack stuff has to go away. Players play a little bit slower because of the cold weather. Obviously, supposing that they're outside. But so Green Bay's ability to do that is encouraging. Although I got to tell you, if you're ever going to call a win a bad win, this one was it for Green Bay, up 21-3 at halftime, and then to only win by 8 points. they should have put that team away. And if you're against a team that isn't mediocre, and Carolina right now, they're a mediocre roster. It's a good franchise, but it's a rebuilding franchise. They just fired their GM, I believe either earlier today or yesterday. So in situations like that, you're going to be able to hang on and get that win. If Green Bay puts in a second half performance like they did on Saturday night, they're going to get bounced in the playoffs. So the first half, they looked great, but it was a real tale of two halves for Green Bay, and they need to be careful because that's the kind of thing that in the past has caught up with them when they've been unexpectedly knocked out of the playoffs as a home favorite, as would probably be in this instance. So they need to be careful. That wasn't a great win. It was a lucky push for us, but a really disappointing second half for Green Bay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a point of concern, but as me and you had talked about weeks prior, we're looking at parts of the schedule right now where teams are going to start taking their foot off the gas. And maybe that happened a little bit with such a dominating first half. And then once you realize, wait, the points are starting to go back the other direction, it's kind of hard to kick that back into gear again. I don't look for Aaron Rodgers to do that much coming down the stretch, but the team did it. It happened. That could be a coaching issue. But again, if you're beating a mediocre team like Carolina by such a definitive margin going into halftime, you're probably going to take your foot off the gas a little bit. And that's probably what we saw there. Miami, -1.5, was hosting New England this week. The Army liked Miami. I agreed with this pick. Let's take a look, man. What happened?
Yeah, this was one of my official picks as well. Big agreement with the Army on this, and we all got this one right. A nice, tidy 10-point win by Miami at home. And really, I think the story here is the defense. First or second in yards per play and points allowed on defense for the Miami Dolphins. This is a real defense that's playing really hard. This guy, Brian Flores, is in considerable talks to be coach of the year, and for good reason. Tua has really progressed as a quarterback, and the verdict was out on him after the first couple of games, but he's shown that he doesn't make mistakes. And the stats for Bill Belichick in the past going up against rookie quarterbacks, he typically had dominated them. So this is a really encouraging win for Miami. I think they make the playoffs. I'm not sure they get out of wild card weekend. They're going to have to be on the road because Buffalo clinched the AFC East division title on Saturday afternoon. So Miami's going to have to go on the road wild card weekend. I'm not sure they get out of there, but an exciting time. What a major step forward for this group that was picking 5th overall in last year's draft. Actually, interesting side note, this line closed with the Patriots -1. So you were seeing some pretty heavy professional money coming in late. Those $10,000, $20,000, even $50,000 tickets were squarely on New England in the hour leading up to kickoff. But the Army, even laying the 1.5, got the win, and so did we. Well done. I think the real trend that came from this game to rely on going forward, and probably not going to be terribly useful for the rest of this season, but next season, is the week after the Dream Crusher or the Backbreaker, whatever you want to call it. That game in LA against the Rams 2 Thursday nights ago, where the Patriots just got absolutely blown out of the stadium. That was the game that really definitively told them that the season was over. And typically in the week after those dream-crushing defeats, teams just don't prepare as much. They don't practice as hard. They come out looking a little flat. It's kind of, I think, the trend to take from this, or the strategy, if you will, is when you have a team that gets dealt that really ugly loss that pretty much puts it away for the season, they're going to come out flat the next week. And that's what happened here when Miami ran away with this one late.
All right, well, let's travel down New Orleans and see what happened between the Chiefs and the Saints down there. Chiefs were -3 at New Orleans this week. The Army liked the Chiefs. I disagreed. You agreed. What happened, man?
This was one of the more interesting lines of the week because of where it landed. It opened with the Saints +4.5, and it closed the Chiefs, as I had mentioned in our last broadcast, were down to -2. So it really depended on where you got them. I think the big thing to keep in mind here is a 3-point win. So the Army pushed. So we all pushed, even though you and I disagreed on this game. with it landing on 3 is it's the importance of those magic numbers, 3, 7, 10, and as I had mentioned earlier, 8 is actually starting to creep in there as well as a fairly common margin of victory. So, the Saints plus 3.5 you cashed, Chiefs minus 2.5 you cashed. And so being very particular about the number that you get. There were a lot of spreads this week. The Washington football team opened plus 4.5, closed plus 6.5, and ended up losing by 5. So that's one where, depending on where you got the number, decided whether or not you actually cashed the ticket. Same one here. I just thought that Mahomes and co were due to put in a good performance. And as I had mentioned as well, I liked it a heck of a lot more at 2.5 or 2 for this exact reason than I did at 3. I will say this, the Chiefs should have won this game by more. When you look at time of possession, when you look at how flat New Orleans came out, when you look at what Drew Brees did for the first, 2, 3, 4 drives, really weren't able to get anything going on offense, and the Chiefs only won by 3. They were losing by 10 points in every single playoff game last year when they won the Super Bowl and got outplayed for the first 3 quarters in the Super Bowl. So the Chiefs have been getting into this bad habit of having to come back late or not putting teams away that they should. They've underperformed as far as their talent goes. Is that going to catch up to them with a potent running attack like the Colts or the Titans have, or with a defense as nasty as Buffalo? Is that going to, stifle them just one too many times where they can't get that touchdown drive late that they need? So a good win for the Chiefs. They beat a really good team on the road, and you can't take that away from them. That being said, 0-5 against the spread the previous 5 weeks. Now, again, depending on what spread you got, they either did or did not. But for opening lines, the Chiefs are now 0-6 in the last 6 weeks. Now, they're favorites, so against the spread, does it matter? No. I mean, to win the Super Bowl or win a playoff game, you need to win by 1 point. That's it. But that's just something that bears watching here with the Chiefs as we get into January. They haven't been putting teams away, and teams that they are clearly more talented than. I mean, how bad does that non-cover against Denver look a few weeks ago? In Denver, they went in there, they barely won. They needed a late touchdown. Buffalo went into Denver on Saturday and blew the Broncos out of the stadium. So anyway, a really good win for the Chiefs, but certainly some concerns coming out of there. As far as the Saints go, it's Drew Brees. I don't think the guy's right. He's a couple years older than me, and if I have a bad night's sleep, my leg hurts all day. So I can't imagine how a guy who broke ribs last month is feeling. But so we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting with the Saints, but certainly not a bad loss for the Saints. Not a great win for the Chiefs, and a push all around.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs defense did a really good job of keeping Kamara at bay. I mean, he didn't have his normal explosive game like he usually does. Drew Brees was, yes, a little bit rusty as he came back, but he still performed to a pretty good level. I mean, he had a very good game. Any other quarterback in the league would have been very happy with his numbers at the end. He did throw an interception, which isn't great, but that can be expected for being on the shelf for as long as he was. He's just a gritty guy. I can't give enough credit to Drew Brees. I mean, that guy is just a gritty dude. He takes a pounding. He's a small guy. He goes out there and he leads his team. Him under center, I think, fires up that team a little bit. They might not necessarily get that first round bye, but they're gonna do some damage. And I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see them in the championship game. They have a lot to play for. It's Drew's last year. Look for him to go out with a bang.
Push all around, and a 2-0-2 week, man. I'll take it. That's undefeated in my book.
Yeah, tight week. Definitely another great recap show, guys. I thank you so much for tuning in. Erik, thank you so much for your insight. Really appreciate it.
We started out red hot, caught a little bit of a plateau mid-season, but hopefully we're going to finish up strong. And I'll announce it now. We originally were just going to go for the regular season, but we did just get set up to go through the Super Bowl. So stick with us. Hopefully some good winners are coming. We wish you all very happy holiday. And again, thanks for being a part of our project.
Yes, I totally agree. Thank you so much. Some exciting news there. Everybody have a happy holiday. We look forward to seeing you on Saturday when we have our Week 16 reveal show. Check us out here on YouTube, and we look forward to seeing everybody out there. Everybody have a happy holidays. Everybody be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, John.